You may have seen this tiny announcement from YouTube pop up recently over your analytics. Yup, YouTube now says that if someone stops on one of your videos, causing it to automatically play, this now counts towards your overall click-through rate. And as usual, when YouTube changes something, we're left with a lot of questions. Will my click-through rate now be just higher across my entire channel? Could this hurt my channel in some way? Or is it a positive thing? Do thumbnails even matter anymore, given that a video is going to start playing before someone really has a chance to stop and get a good look at it? And as you would expect, YouTube is light on the details when you go to investigate this further. That's where I come in though, because I have some theories I want to share with you about this, and I invite you to share your own in the comments below by the end of this video. Now, I don't know about you, but as a viewer of many platforms, I personally hate autoplay. I find it incredibly annoying that when I'm scrolling through my favorite streaming service, some movie or TV show pops up really loudly just because I dared to stop scrolling for an extra second or two. And yet, despite my hatred of this feature, I'm still too lazy to go into my settings and turn it off. Autoplay is on by default for a lot of users using YouTube on their mobile device or on their televisions, which a lot of them do. So like it or not, autoplay is now part of the browsing experience on YouTube. So if somebody does stop scrolling on one of your videos and allows it to play for a few seconds, should that not count as a click? With autoplay, YouTube is basically removing a barrier to entry to your content. And as such, this actually changes the definition of a click-through rate altogether. Despite that though, let me say this, thumbnails are still incredibly important because not everybody on YouTube is using autoplay to begin with. Not to mention your thumbnails are still visible to people using autoplay even if they don't get to see them for as long of a time. This also means that your thumbnails are better off being simple with less elements so that people don't have a ton of information to absorb before clicking into the video. So not only are your thumbnails just as important as ever before, but I'm now personally putting my intros on par with thumbnails in terms of importance. We've known for a while now that if people can make it through the first 30 seconds of your video, that means there's a really high likelihood they can make it all the way to the end of your video. With autoplay though, you can forget about that first 30 seconds. Now, people could still be in scroll mode when your video just starts playing. They haven't clicked on your video yet, so they haven't actually decided to watch your video yet, making it very easy for them to decide not to watch your video and continue scrolling. So what can you do about this? Well, let's talk about intros and best practices. Honestly, things you should have been doing all along, but now are more important than ever. The first second your video starts, you need to let people feel like they are in the right place. And by the way, making YouTube Shorts is great practice for this, because in both cases, you need a really strong hook. And in the case of long form content especially, you have to immediately deliver on the perceived value of the title and the thumbnail, the promise those make to the viewer. That may sound obvious, but you would be surprised at how many videos on YouTube to this day still start with some kind of vague animated intro. You know the ones.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.com.
A lot of creators go out and purchase these intros and have them made for them because it feels like this is the right thing to do. It's an investment into my channel and it's going to make me look more professional. If you're going to insist on using these, and I highly recommend that you don't, it should really only be about 2 to 4 seconds in length at most. And 100%, it cannot be the first thing people see when they actually do start watching your videos. Start with your hook, and then once people have made it into the content past the first 30-second mark, that's when you can have your intro play, do your introduction where you tell people who you are and what you do on YouTube, etc. And to ensure that you have a really strong hook, something that can really help is knowing exactly what your title is going to be before you press record. And it also helps to at least have some idea of what thumbnail you're going to use in this video as well. Because think about this from the viewer's perspective. If they see your title and thumbnail and they click into your content, and in the first 30 seconds, that click pays off, they're really likely to stick around. Mr. Beast does this all the time.
I tied up an FBI agent. If he steals this $100,000 from me before midnight, he keeps it. This is a knife. Good luck. Let's go, Tariq.
Now imagine you've never even heard of Mr. Beast, right? You're scrolling through YouTube and that video pops up and starts on autoplay. Even if you haven't yet had the chance to read the title or the thumbnail, you know exactly what you're getting into if you choose to stick around and watch till the end. And no, I'm not saying you should start videos on your cooking channel like Mr. Beast does. Today, I'll be making 50,000 orders of Eggs Benedict inside of a damp cave. And if I don't finish in 24 hours, my friends will seal me inside forever. But you can certainly see to it that your next upload gets straight to the point. A lot of creators struggle with this, but I have some general advice. Back to my tip about creating your title and your thumbnail first, this goes into context. You now have the full context of what your viewer is going to see before they click into your content, which is going to help you with your intro. Also ask yourself, do you really need to introduce yourself during any point in your video? I would argue that unless you have a very specific credential that's going to lend some credibility to your content, such as doctor or lawyer, you really don't need to introduce yourself in every single video. I would also avoid asking for subs or likes in that first 30 seconds. Deliver on some value first, and then you won't even need to really ask. Once you mention hitting the like button or subscribing, you've already proven that your content is worth their time. Most of the creators we see really don't need intros in any of their videos. So I imagine the tips I just gave you apply to you. But if you tend to disagree, please just do me one favor. Try it anyway. Just humor me, please. Try it, wait 1 week, and then go back to that video and look at your retention graph. I want you to compare this retention graph to some of the retention graphs on your older videos when you did have really long intros. If you see an improvement, then great. Taking my advice was the right call. However, if things somehow get worse for you, then certainly go back to what you were doing before. Running experiments like this that just don't work out will do no harm to your channel, I promise, especially if you're only doing this for one video. Of course, I would say to do this for a number of videos so you can actually get some practice in there, but one step at a time. Let's try this just once, please. Having a strong hook that encourages people to stay to the very end of your videos can have huge impacts for your watch time as well. And if 4,000 hours of watch time is something you're still working on to reach monetization on YouTube, then you're gonna wanna watch this video right here, which has even more tips on doing just that.